Welcome to our lecture on sleep variations. In this lecture, we will be looking at some normal sleep variations and other interesting sleep phenomena. Variations will include quantity. Do you ever know someone who claims they only need 4 hours of sleep per night? Quality. What causes fragmented sleep and what can you do about it? Morning versus night people, or what we call larks and owls in psychology. Sleepy versus alert people, a personality trait of which most people are not aware. Age-related sleep differences. Why are teens the latest to go to bed and the latest to get up? And women's sleep. How do things like menstruation and menopause affect sleep? We will also explore some other interesting sleep phenomena, such as what science has to say about infant co-sleeping. Should you sleep with them or not? Are power naps what they are cracked up to be? Can some people really set reliable mental alarms? Is it true that we can learn while we sleep? Does music help or disturb our sleep? Why do we yawn? Most adults by far need 7.5 to 8.5 hours of sleep, give or take a half hour. Now, there is evidence of variations outside of this range, but these individuals are few and far between. Twin studies evidence a genetic component to the number of hours of sleep that we need. Monozygotic twins, those are identical twins, right? They are far more similar in their needed hours than dizygotic twins, fraternal twins, even when raised apart. There are not many who deviate from this range by more than a half hour, but more on the low side than the high side, and a few have even been documented who appear to need only 3 hours of sleep. A few cases have been reported of people who claim to need 0 hours, but none has been validated to date. Instead, research supports the idea that humans die after an average of 14 days of no sleep. So most people by far are in that normal range, but those who need less than 7 hours are called short sleepers, and those who need 9 or more, long sleepers. Some personality differences have been reported, such as short sleepers being more extroverted, less neurotic, but more conforming and more likely to deny their problems. And long sleepers being more introverted, more neurotic, but more nonconforming and more likely to face their problems. But these studies are questionable, well, for a number of reasons. We don't know the direction of cause. Does a length of sleep affect personality, or does a personality affect length of sleep? We don't know. Also, they're questionable because of some questionable methods. For instance, by defining short and long sleepers in a subjective manner. And finally, because of a lack of replication. Some negative health effects have been reported for both short and long sleep. But that's different than short and long sleepers, right? Short and long sleep means not getting enough or getting too much. Okay? So getting too much or too little sleep on a regular basis is associated with actually a number of health deficits, such as diabetes, cardiovascular problems, high blood pressure, obesity, cancer, psychiatric problems, neurological disorders, and strokes. And getting less than 5 hours on a regular basis has been correlated with mortality. So we know these are linked to health problems. But being correlational research, these studies also cannot inform us about causal direction. Does sleep length cause health problems, or health problems cause sleep length? Clearly, more research is needed in this area. Sometimes we awaken after sleep feeling refreshed and ready to face the day. Other times we may awaken feeling unrefreshed. A continuous nighttime sleep period is of higher quality than a fragmented one. In Bonnet's 1986 fragmented study, he stimulated sleepers, now not enough to wake them up, but just enough to change their EEG briefly at various intervals throughout their needed nighttime sleep period. So he varied the intervals between disruptions. Then he tested participants in the morning on very simple tasks. When the disruptions were 20 minutes apart, there was no effect. But as interval times decreased from 19 to 1 minute apart, deficits increased like ducks in a row. The less minutes apart, the more the deficits. And in fact, when disrupted every minute, the deficits equaled those of someone totally sleep deprived. There are many factors in life that can cause fragmented sleep, such as discomfort, pain, noise, stress, incommodious temperature, snoring, a restless sleep partner, etc. A couple other factors that are related to quality sleep are the time of nycthammeron, with quality sleep being most probable during your nighttime sleep period or mid-afternoon dip. So quality, and the regularity of your sleep-wake schedule. The maintenance of a regular schedule is related to the best quality of sleep. But keeping the wake-up time, in particular, regular, is the strongest benefit of all. Now, here's a few extreme fragmentations so you can further identify fragment variations on a hypnogram. Sleep apnea is a sleep disorder that is characterized by numerous sleep disruptions. Look at all these in this one. Okay. We'll learn more about this disorder later in this class. As seen in this hypnogram, besides the numerous arousals and near arousals, people with sleep apnea spend much more time than normal in N2 and much less than normal in N3. They are usually severely N3 and REM deprived, especially later at night. Fibromyalgia is a condition that involves widespread pain and fatigue. As you can imagine, this condition is associated with sleep disruptions too. In fact, those with fibromyalgia may suffer less wake-ups than those with sleep apnea, but they are completely N3 deprived. In some cases, you might see an N3 teaser on their hypnogram, like this one that occurred right after 11 p.m., right? But even then, before it can really take effect, the stage will quickly abort, moving back up to N2. The best way to tell sleep apnea and fibromyalgia apart in hypnograms is to note this complete or virtually complete lack of N3 with fibromyalgia. A quick but important note about reading hypnograms that should help you out with your next virtual lab. Note that hypnograms can vary on whether REM is placed toward the top or at the bottom of the stages of sleep. In the sleep apnea hypnogram we just looked at, it's printed here again on top, REM is represented at the bottom, see that? In the fibromyalgia one, it is represented near the top, see that? I wish they were more consistent, but they don't consult with me on this. So be careful to process this first when reading each hypnogram you run across, such as those in your next virtual lab.